Hey, you are tuned in to the Lick Show Hits 92.3. And look, the topic that we have this morning is most women modern day prostitutes. So we're gonna be right back. Lick Show Hits 92.3. You are now tuned in to Hits 92.3, where we take great pride in personal expression of one's feelings, thoughts, or ideals. What you're getting ready to hear on this show are the opinions of the hosts and their guests, and they do not reflect the opinions of Hits 92.3 radio station, the brand, management, staff, their respective advertisers, parent companies, or affiliates. Now stay tuned as this show begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is most women modern day prostitutes? And there is a conversation that we had from a clip. So shout out to Autumn and Ivan. They came into the show a couple of weeks ago. They are a married couple. And so every first Monday, we are going to have them to come into studio and talk about being married. So one of the topics that we were discussing is um how for generations, centuries, men have always had their end goal to have sex with women. Rather they get it the money up front, rather they take the time to take the women on dates and all this other stuff that they would do to get the woman. Nowadays, women aren't really wanting to go through the whole process of finding out that the guy just only wants sex. So women today will ask for money up front, not necessarily for sex, but for the time that they're going on the dates, or they don't even want to go on dates now. They just like, look, pay my bills. There's certain women that won't even go on a date with you unless you are paying to get their hair and their nails done. So it's gotten that bad to where, and I call it modern day prostitution, because regular prostitution is women literally standing on a corner in some provocative clothes and expecting payment for sex. Nowadays, and I think it's always been this way. I have made this joke literally since I've been in high school. I kid you not. Since I was in high school, I used to always say every single woman on the planet Earth has some form of prostitution in her. And I don't mean standing on a corner. Me, if I know like a guy wants sex and I know he wants this and blah blah blah, I'm like, I don't know what his intentions are for sure, but I feel like that's what it is. He gonna have to take me out, or he's going to have to pay some bills, or he's going to have to do this, he's going to have to do that. Isn't that a form of prostitution? If you are expecting something, some money or some goods in exchange for your body, that to me is a form of prostitution. So if anybody wants to chime in on this conversation, the telephone number is 404-254-4347. Again, that telephone number is 404-254-4347. One of the things that we were talking about, and I keep going back and forth with men on this particular conversation, is because now, as in I would say maybe to me, I've heard the conversation switch probably around COVID time and to today, that men are looking for relationships. Men are feeling like women are just using them for money. They don't want love. They don't want they don't want marriage. They don't want to build a family. And men know, I don't care what y'all say, men know that has never been the man's conversation. Men have been glorified for being hoes. They've been glorified for being pimps. They've been glorified for being players. And you would clown your homeboy for wanting to be in a relationship. You'll clown your homeboy for wanting to sleep with one woman. You'll clown your homeboy for wanting to get married and having kids and not wanting to hang out. And if a chick try to come at him, he's telling her no, he has somebody. Y'all will clown y'all friends for that. Maybe not today, because the men today are changing. I mean, so they say. So they say. I mean, I've come across some good guys that want relationships, but I don't know if I would have gave them a relationship if it would have stayed the same, or because I didn't want a relationship, they saw that as a challenge and made them want me more. So I can't say what it is and what it isn't. I'm just going by the things that I read, the experiences that I personally have, and the experiences that my friends and family have. That for generations, men were not looking for love. So I just had, even driving in a couple of minutes ago, somebody said, it was a guy. He said a man's end goal is not sex. He's looking for a woman's devoted love to him. When? Since when? Since when have
What does
men
that look like?
wanted that?
No, but what does that look like? Because that's a dog whistle for he wants a woman to take care of him and do every and provide for him the the submissiveness, but
This sounds like
that's
submissive.
exactly what that says.
Yeah.
Look, when y'all talk about marriage and what relationships are and stuff like that, y'all got to really go back to the traditions. Y'all talk about how it's not about money and how men just wanted to be with a woman. That's a lie, because you would go to her parents and you would provide her parents with 3 cows, 4 chickens,
Come
and a
on, sunshine.
goat
Come on,
as a
sunshine.
dowry. What is that? A payment for coochie. That's a payment for coochie.
Uh-huh.
Y'all
And it's
talking about men
always
want to just be with a
been.
woman and y'all just want the companionship and stuff, but we've all watched The Color Purple. No, you don't.
Mm.
No,
Yeah,
you
we
don't.
were bought back then. We went first. We was bought by the white man. Then we was bought by our own.
So what are you talking about? Then when y'all talk about all women want is money, but when you come to the table, what do? You peacock and you put that key on the table, that key fob, so that she can see you got a BMW. You wear these really bright shiny necklaces so that they can see that you have money, and pinky rings and shoes that cost $250 and stuff. Don't say that you're not trying to let a woman know that you have money, and that use that as your way of baiting her to be with you, if that's all that you show. Y'all don't come to the table with conversation and personality. You come to the table with what you can provide. And I, even at this point, when men be like, "Oh, you just want a man for protection, to provide and protect." Okay, what are you protecting me from? Because the only thing in this day and age that you are protecting me from is another man.
Mm. Mm. I mean, she ain't wrong. When I think so,
Cause I got
to
a
a point to that, when I think of protection, I'm not even thinking about like a physical protection. So I don't think all women that say they want protection is necessarily that. My protection that I would want from a man is to help me to keep my peace when I'm around. Like this
but
hits
do
right now.
but
Hits
do they
right
do
now is
that?
stressful, right?
But most men
Wait,
don't
hits
even
right
offer
now is
that.
stressful. So if I'm with a man, I want him to make me forget the stress that I have going on and be able to assist in that kind of way. That's what I call protection. So I don't think of protection from a man of I need my own gun to protect myself and to walk, like let me walk on the inside of a sidewalk. All of that stuff is chivalrous and it's cute, but when I think of protection, I think of like deeper connections with that. When
And
I
I don't
think of
think men do though. I
they
don't think
don't.
men do though. Because if I need protection, why do I have to protect myself from you? I
Mm.
have to protect myself from you mentally, emotionally, you know what I mean? Sometimes physically. So this day and age, what protection is men providing? You don't change tires, you don't open doors, you don't mow the lawn. What protection are you providing me with? When I tell you my boss is acting crazy and grabbing my ass, you ain't running up to my job to talk shit to
Ooh.
him. Like, what protection are men providing? So the only thing that's left is what?
Yeah. And so okay, let's get back into this modern day prostitution. What's your thoughts on that, Sunshine? Because one, now keep in mind, I am a realist, right? If it's certain things that men like, when I made this point on my post and I was like, most men are tricks and johns, if you like to use the old term johns. Most men are tricks and johns because they are willing to spend the money to take a woman out, to, even if he has no intentions on marrying her, even if he feels like she's not somebody I want to be in a relationship with, even if it has nothing to do with her and him himself doesn't want to be in a relationship, he will still spend money on this woman knowing I just want to be single, do what I do, go to my house and be cool. Most men are tricks and johns, and they have no problem spending money to take these women out to do the things that you do with women. But it's a problem now when the woman is like, you know what? Let's just skip all of that. Why don't you get my hair done? Won't you fly me out? Won't you do this? Won't you do that? Now the men are offended.
What's
But
really
she's giving you exactly what it is you're wasting your money to do because you don't really want to spend time with her.
what's really crazy is when you meet a woman and she's like, "Oh no, I just want to go to the park and kick it with you," and then you call her lame. Like, I really feel as though a lot of the type of dates that women used to want to go on, where they
Mhm,
could get a chance to know you, where they could talk to you, like you hear people be like, "Oh, I don't want to go to the movies because you can't talk to a person."
mhm.
Why do men want to go to take you to a movie? Because they don't want to talk to you. Like, everything
They
that a
want to
woman
fill you
wants
up
to
and watch
do,
a movie.
right? Everything that a woman wants to do that has to do with being based upon your personality and getting to know you,
Uh huh.
y'all look at that as if it's something corny. Okay, then, well, then just go feed me and fuck me then. And then you're
But the
mad.
flip, I'm
You're
sorry, go ahead.
you're mad because I've gotten tired of begging you to do the things that I find interesting that will allow me to get to know you, that might not necessarily cost money. You can get on Silver Comet Trail and go for a bike ride. That is absolutely free. But then
Mhm.
you hear a dude talking about, man, I ain't got no time to be riding no bike and da 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 da. Okay, what you want to do? I just want to come to your house. Well, then pay me then. I need some
If you're gonna treat
groceries.
me like a prostitute,
I need some
what's wrong with
groceries.
giving the money up front if you're gonna treat me like a prostitute anyway?
And then
So
if
the
I
point that I made on my post when I was saying all the stuff that I was saying, a guy thought he was gonna trip me up and hurt my feelings. He said, "Okay, how much do you cost then?" I said, "I'm already bought." What do you mean? I give time and attention to who does the things that I want to do in my modern day prostitution.
Mhm.
I'm already bought, sir. And I guess he didn't say nothing else. What can you say to that?
I mean, if you're
So
not trying to be with a person solely for their personality and companionship and you want transactional relationships,
yes,
don't be mad at the other person's requirement for the
but
transaction.
that is the
You just mad
problem. They
cuz you
keep
can't
getting
afford
mad.
you can't afford the
That's
transaction.
really what it
That's
is.
what it is.
I
Because
had somebody
when she a
tell me,
$20 hoe, it's not a problem. When she's a $250 hoe, now she want too much. No, she just a hoe that's out of your price range, sir.
somebody told me before he pays women to go away. And what he means by that is he don't want you calling him throughout the week. He don't want to hear no nagging. He don't want to hear no complaining. He don't want you asking him to go out. He don't want to have to come to your house. You come to his house. Y'all supposed to talk on the phone every day. He gets what he wants. Sometimes that's time and attention and it's not sex. Sometimes it's just sex. But he puts women on a retainer to leave them alone. So when I call you because I'm giving you money every month, you need to make yourself available for me. And the arrangement is cool with them. That's a modern day prostitution.
Hmm?
And I'm
You
like,
just don't like the they just don't like
they
the
don't like the
word. They
women don't
don't
like it either. I think women will be offended if I say you're a modern day prostitute.
I mean, but what
It's
is
offensive.
marriage? It's still marriage is a prostitute. You
Everything
just
in
got
life is a
let me tell you
prostitution
something. I ain't
and a
paid
and a
a mortgage.
trick.
I ain't paid a mortgage
Oh, you a big prostitute.
in
High
15
five.
years.
High five. I'm
Y'all be
trying to be
talking
that
about
I'm trying to be that type of
the
prostitute.
last time I paid rent, my rent was $350. Okay? So if you want to call me a prostitute, yeah, I'm a prostitute for this mortgage, for that second month, that first mortgage and that second mortgage. I
Yep.
don't even know how much they cost.
And I looked up the term of what a the definition of a prostitute is something in exchange for sex. Now, if some people be like, I ain't no prostitute, I don't sleep with men for money. But can a man walk up to you in a club and say, I'll give you $200 to go home with you right now? Are you going to say yes or no? If you say no, but the next man comes to you and he's like, "Hey, I would love to take you out. I just want to get to know you better." And you give him your number, either way you're a prostitute. One of them you're just prolonging the prostitution versus just getting it out the way cuz that man was honest up front. And I'm
Or
not going to say, let me make that my disclaimer. I'm not going to say every time a man asks a woman out, he just wants sex. I'm talking about the ones that once you get sex from the woman, you all of a sudden lose feelings. You all of a sudden lose interest and you have no desire to continue forward with that woman, regardless of you feel like, I don't know, she's changed or she's not who I thought she was. Maybe you should have got to know her better. Because I literally would hear men say, once I nutted, I lost feelings. The feelings went with the nut. And I'm like, God damn, like what she do? He'd be like, I don't know. You didn't know her. You slept with the woman and you had no idea who you were sleeping with to know that this woman wasn't even your type. Now I've been watching Love Island and I'm only on like episode 18. So I'm not going to spill the beans for anybody who's just trying to catch up like me. But there is a particular couple on there that they realized they weren't who they thought they were, because one of them was very disrespectful to the other person. Now, if you would have spent more time with this person, you would have learned their personality. So a lot of people jump in bed with people that they don't know who they are and then be shocked after the fact that that person changed. My brother, shout out to Drew, he put me on some game. He said a lot of times when people sleep with each other, even if they spent months together, like hanging out, like I'll take me for instance. I'm a very hot, cold person before I get in a relationship, right? Before sex, before any of that, you can call me when you want to. We can hang out when you want to. It's if I got time, it's this, that, and the third. But after we have sex, my connection to you is different. I expect my expectations change. But what if the guy liked me because I was so chill and laid back? Now, after we have sex, I'm expecting you to call me. I'm expecting you to take me out. I'm expecting to be able to ask you for whatever I want because we've had sex now. And I wasn't like that before. So, what if that part of me is what was attractive to make him want to go further? But now we've had sex and now I'm very lovey dovey, or I'm not even going to say clingy, but I have boundaries now. I have expectations now because I gave you my body. And he's like, wait a minute, that's not who I was attracted to. I don't want all of that. He might not be a person that's a lovey-dovey, talk to you every day, go out every week, check in type person. But now I slept with this woman and she has all these expectations. She changed, not him. So get to know people. After I spend enough time with you, I'm gonna want to spend more and more time with you. I'm gonna have different expectations. And I don't know. I just feel like more time is needed. If not, go with the prostitution. What else can I say? And men are getting so upset. Like, men don't want just sex now. Add now to the end of that sentence when men are saying that. Because y'all absolutely loved when y'all homeboy had five to 10 women chasing him. Oh, he was a pimp. He was the man. I'm trying to be like you when I get older. Today, a man is like when a woman has 5 or 10, of course she's a hoe and she don't want nothing serious and I'm trying to settle down and these women are playing games and all they want is my money.
I think
Y'all
that's
created that.
I think that's also us. What
What?
I mean by that is we have changed, as in our demographic has changed. A lot of times, the stuff that we heard, we were in our 20s. And of
Mhm.
course, in our 20s, that's the way men are. Now, as men have gotten older and they have heart attacks, gout, high blood pressure, need somebody to feed them and stuff like that, their needs and necessities have changed, so their desires and what they want have changed.
I can agree
And the
and
women that they
disagree.
are attracted to are the
Mhm.
ones that are still younger, because
That
that's
want
what
to
they
play.
want and that want to play. And guess what their mentality is like the rest of the 20-year-old
Yes.
children. You can't have it both
I can
ways. You
agree to
can't be,
disagree. I
yeah.
think everybody's demographic. I think it has literally switched. I think women have that masculine, I'm a pimp, I'm a player, I'm a hoe, and I'm happy about it mindset. And the men want the families and the relationships. And like you said, as they've gotten older. But today's man don't need what you just said. That's the old school man that has the gout and needs this and needs that and needs to be fed and needs to be taken care of. Men have learned to do that for themselves now.
Some there I
Most
think
men
there's a
have.
I think there's a small I think the pocket is smaller, and it that can
Mhm.
but it's not a necessity about the ability.
Mhm.
I think it's the desire. Just because you are able to do those things for yourself doesn't mean that you want to. I don't think most men want to go
That's
off
a good question.
and do their doctor's appointments and make, you know what I'm saying, those little things. Like, it is statistically it's a statistical fact that married men live longer than single men. Why is that?
And I just read something just to go off of that point that single women sleep better than sleeping with their mate. And I'm like, what? I can't agree or disagree. I just, from what I read, that single women sleep better than women in relationships. So married men live longer than single men.
Yeah.
Married men get better financial and business opportunities than single men too. I don't know if men know that.
They have better health opportunities as well. Their health tends to be better when they're married compared to when they're not.
Condi, call in 404-254-4347. He said, we funny as F. He said, I'm dying laughing. Where do women get this S from? Call in. I don't know if my co-hosts on Mondays are here yet. So we have,
I think I heard them come in.
Autumn and Ivan. Excuse me. They are one of my favorite married couples. They've been married for 10 years. So I wanted someone with experience under their belt to come in here and talk about relationships. I don't personally want to speak on marriage from my perspective only because I've been divorced twice. So I'm not the best person to tell a person how to stay together. I can tell you when to leave, but I don't tell you how to work through the ups and downs and make it work. So I wanted to bring in real life a married couple. No shots and nothing towards the professionals that have degrees in it, but I wanted to talk to real black men and real black women on how to get married, how to stay married, and have fun while they're married. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with my favorite group, Mr. and Mrs. Divine Gravity.
Body image and positivity are major impacts in today's society. At Nurse to Beauty, we believe in bringing the beauty from within to the forefront. For those of you who are planning to have cosmetic surgery, Nurse to Beauty is ready and available for all of your postoperative needs. My name is Dontricia Dunham, and I am the registered nurse and owner. I have over 10 years of experience with emergency medicine that has aided me in giving quality medical care for cosmetic surgery clients. We specialize in a number of safe and effective options and solutions to help you achieve your ideal body image. Have a one-on-one virtual consultation via phone or private suite location. Have your lymphatic therapies and all other postoperative needs performed by a licensed medical professional. Mobile postoperative services are also available upon request. Not interested in cosmetic surgery at this time? No worries. We also provide an array of body modification services to fulfill all of your beauty enhancement requests. We understand how costly aftercare can be after a cosmetic surgery. Ask about our affordable payment plans today with instant approval and no hard credit check. Log on to www.nursetobeauty.com for more information. Call or text 404-849-0260. For education, client transformations, and reviews, follow all of our social medias at Nurse to Beauty. See you next time.
My name is Joey H. This is the headband, and this is our submission for Tiny Desk. This song is called Tour Bus, and I wrote this about taking this all over the world and where music can take us. Tricked out my tour bus, tricked out my tour bus. I tricked out my tour bus, tricked out my tour bus. I tricked out my tour bus. I tricked out my tour bus, tricked out my tour bus. Tricked out, tricked out, tricked out. I tricked out, I tricked out, I tricked out. I tricked out, I tricked out, I tricked out. Yeah. Darren Ron Shoddy. I dare someone to stop me. Dare someone to jump and I throw it home. Sprinting full of winners, hit the map on my mobile phone. Paradise the exit, we can stop cause we very close. Shaking hands with a fan on the West Coast. They ask, am I nervous and for rap what I want most? Anxiously, I smile and laugh. Try to think about an answer. It's basically like I want it all. I need the rain to flee. Been under dark clouds so much it's been a pain to see. Patient, but I'm 28. I'm pacing around the question. Bro, I need some payments, G, back to it. I'm like, man, I just wanna live. Show the world to my girl and our future kids. So I'm on road, got a show to kill, moves to make. He bought a tea and said, good luck, I know you're making life. Checked out my tour bus. I checked out my tour bus. I checked out my tour bus. I checked out my tour bus. Checked out my tour bus. Checked out. I checked out. Woo! True story, started this record back in 17. Rapping about everything I never seen. Tried to write it down so I could make it happen. Now me and Mike on flights to Denver for the tour of madness. Now that is magic, should've stayed with all is possible. So watch your every move, it's only right, I gotta prove. Believe it's right, I mean these people with OTs. From my 40 days of sleep of faith. Started with these writings just to formulate a better life for me and mine. It's been a climb, but we still going. Thankful for every moment, glad we make it every morning. Now we rewarded for the free shows we prayed on. These C-notes, one dive in my wallet like free throws. I prayed for this. Now this time here, feel like the greatest thing. Years later, we still singing the same. Taking risks, catalogs, and passion. And remember when we happened to trick out my tour bus. Tricked out my tour bus. Tricked out my tour bus. Tricked out my tour bus. Yeah. Tricked out my tour bus. 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 Let's rock. Tricked out my tour bus. Tricked out. I tricked out my tour bus. I tricked out my tour bus. I tricked out. I tricked out my tour bus. Tricked out. Tricked out. Tricked out. I 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 tricked out. Woo! Tricked out my tour bus. I tricked out my tour bus. Tricked out my tour bus. I tricked out my tour bus. I tricked out my tour bus. Thank you.
We are back. Lick Show hits 92.3, and we were talking about modern day prostitution. But last week, I did not actually introduce y'all before I jumped into I was just so excited about the conversation. I just jumped right in. So introduce yourself.
I am Autumn Thomas, aka Mrs. Defy Gravity on IG and all social platforms. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm Ivan Thomas, Mr. Defy Gravity.
And I wanted to do Marriage Mondays. And I wanted to do it with them because they have been married at least 10 years. And prior to going on the break, I was saying that I wanted real life couples to come on, not the experts that have the degrees in relationships and like just the psychology of men and women. I just wanted real deal people you can touch and can give you real life advice and the things that they went through and still going through together.
Yeah.
So before we get into our topic of the day, which is building foundations and effective communication within marriages, we were talking about the modern day woman, and I call it modern day prostitute. And to my surprise, more men are upset about it. And it was from a clip that we all did when you all were here.
Okay.
Really?
And the conversation was pretty much saying that men were always wanting sex. And now women know the men want sex. So they're like, okay, if you want sex, then give me this.
Yeah.
Right.
So the men on my comment were like, no, we want love and we want this and we want that. Now, from a man's perspective, will you say men of all times, any generation, any decade, have always been after love first?
I would say that all men want love.
Okay.
Now, they might not be pursuing love from a specific woman, but we all want love. I mean, let's just be real. All these podcasts and stuff don't exist. Even the ones where it seems like men are trashing women. Women are the topic because men want women at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. So men want love. That's the real thing. We want to know that we're valued, that a woman cares about us. I mean, back in the day, medieval times or whatever, men fought and went to war over the love of a woman. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way that it's always been. And that's still the way that it is. A man can say he doesn't want marriage or whatever, but he wants that nurturing. He wants that woman's feminine touch. That's what he wants.
So is he just going about it different? Because again, another thing that I said too was men were glorified for being pimps, players, and
Yeah.
hoes.
Mhm.
So it doesn't sound like love is anywhere in there.
No, I think that it is in there, but sometimes it comes too late because I think a lot of dudes, frankly, just play games. I think, and a lot of times, men's approach to women is based on how they feel like they're being perceived by their peers. So I think a lot of times men make their judgments on how they deal with women based on what they think their boys are going to like, or what they think is looks cool or looks good aesthetically to, the public.
Right.
And it gives them this perception of having a certain type of status or being this caliber of a guy, depending on how they treat women, even how they treat good women. So this woman loves me, she's chasing me around. I'm gonna treat her like this. I'm gonna show her she don't mean nothing to me. In a way, they feel like it elevates them as far as their power, their perceived power or status. So I think a lot of dudes just play games, but at the end of the day, they're complaining. A lot of them are moaning and whining on Instagram because they're hurt and they have trauma because they did love and they were looking for love. And maybe a woman, lots of the dialogue that we see online is based on people having trauma and negative experiences, and they're just acting out now. People are afraid to be hurt. They're afraid to be misused.
Right.
Oh, you gave me a whole new perspective because I'm like, y'all are lying. Y'all just saying whatever y'all saying. So I heard it from a man's voice.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Hey.
And I'm not a
Lie if
man,
you
but
want.
I think a lot too, because it's harder for a man to be more emotional. That's like not their natural way of going about. Once they try to be vulnerable and expose that to a woman, if it's not received, then it's like everything is shut down. It's so hard for them to get back there. So you might have had a man that started off as a good man, but he may have met a woman who he was really interested in pursuing, and either she played games or she broke his heart. So now every woman that comes after her is going to get the wrath. Like, now I'm not going to be vulnerable with anybody else. So now I'm just going to be this pimp bad boy and see how many women I can kind of go through to make my bruised ego feel better. So I think that's what the problem is.
Ooh. Y'all
Yeah.
speaking, y'all walking in the door. How do y'all think? Just this has nothing to do with marriage, just individual opinions. How do you think we can get from this place that we're in? Because I feel like the bruised egos of a man is becoming, I'm not even going to say feminine in a negative way, but they are taking on the feminine traits of so-called, we want love, we want the family, we want this, we want that. And then the women are taking on more so the masculine. And that's not to say it in a negative way of, I don't want any of that anymore. I just want to get my money, run my business, go home and do my own thing and see a man when I see him.
Yeah.
How do you think we can come in the middle? Because I don't want it to go back to how it was, because women complain about getting played all the time.
Yeah.
How do you think men and women can come and meet in the middle? Now that men understand I want love and I don't mind expressing it, even if it's an immature way of saying it online, you proved a point that they really still want love. And the women are acting out the way they are because you really want love. You're just trying to keep your pride intact and not get played. Yeah. How can we meet in the middle where it doesn't cross over either way?
That's a good question, and I don't really know. I think I don't know. I think a lot of these podcasts come under the guise of really having productive conversations, but I don't know if they really do. I think it's the transparency of the conversation, not coming in wanting to be all cool and all of this for the clickbait and stuff like that, but really listening, really actively communicating and actively listening, and not just trying to have a rebuttal. So when you look at a lot of these dialogues, it's just somebody trying to make a point, another person trying to make their point, and they already have their stance. They're not willing to listen. They're not willing to clarify anything or have an understanding. And I think that that's the fundamental key to, improving this situation, especially in our community, is being able to communicate and listen, to understand. And then it's like, okay, now I see, because most of this is rooted in trauma. It's rooted in past pain and hurt. That's where all of this comes from. So unless you're willing to acknowledge that, acknowledge that you got hurt, acknowledge that you were in love with that woman and she broke your heart. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to act like, I was a pimp. I just recognize women just like this or whatever. Nah, you got your heart broken because you were feeling a girl, or she didn't think that you were that guy back in the day. And maybe she did try to come around later when you got your stuff together and you said, no, I'm not dealing with that. But I think you just people gotta learn to vet properly, but I don't want to drag on. I think just transparent communication is the key.
Yeah.
That's what
And I feel like being willing to let your guard down. Like now it's gotten to the point where it's like nobody wants to be first. Like I'm not going to do this until he does that, or I'm not going to do this until I see these certain things from her. So I think being willing to let your guard down, nobody wants to be first. I feel like we probably just need to both raise our white flag at the same time and just say, okay, let's do it at the same time. 1, 2, 3, drop. Drop the flag. So that way it's not all this give and take or push and pull, trying to see, who can care less and that sort of thing. And I think once we can both do that or be willing to come to that agreement, like, okay, my guard is down, your guard is down, then we can move forward, we can be vulnerable, we can be transparent. And I think that's when the real healing will start after that.
Period. Very, very great points on both sides. And I feel like I agree with both. We just gotta find, I don't know, just individual people. Like I love what you said is last time you were here, you were like, you were in a certain place, she was in a certain place, and y'all both were just tired of dating. And I mean, I always say, unless a woman is going to propose, we can never get married unless you all want to. So you knew in your mind, I'm going to take her serious after the third time I saw her. And within a year, you proposed. So yeah, outside of being transparent is to be intentional.
Right.
We don't be intentional enough.
Right.
Way too many games played.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
it's like elementary school.
And it's the
out here with grown
consistency.
folks.
Like sometimes a man can come through with this big grand gesture to get you, and then after he's got you, it's like, I don't see none of this.
Yeah.
Like we're not
I've been
going
love
on
bombed so many
dates.
times.
Yes, love bombing is a real thing.
Yeah,
so
it's
I
a real thing.
Yeah, you got to be consistent. So I think that's one thing that made it easy for us. I've been constantly showed up. Like he built a track record of being reliable, and so with him showing me that, then my guard was automatically let down because I'm like, okay, this is somebody I can trust. And when a woman feels like she can trust you and she's safe with you, that feminine energy has no choice but to flourish. So.
Amen. All right, so let's get into this topic of the day. So on Mondays, it's Marriage Mondays. And I really want to talk to married people. Granted, I'm not married, but I want to get to that place to where I want to get married again. And when I go in, I'm already coming into a great foundation because I have very much experts in the building. So I want to talk today to married couples on how to build a great foundation and have effective communication. Now, let me add this too. If a foundation wasn't built before you got married, is there a way you can go back? Because I know you can remodel a house. Can you create a foundation that was never there to begin with?
It's anything's possible. I wouldn't say that that's the norm.
Right?
Okay.
So, but of course, whenever you get to a point where even if you weren't able to do it before, if you get to a point where you can work through things and you can communicate and again, clarify a situation. I think a lot of people call themselves communicating, but they don't have an understanding. So nothing gets clarified. So you don't know how to move forward. So I think that if you ever get to a place where you've worked on it or you've done the inner work to recognize, hey, I want to communicate, be more transparent. I want to see different types of results. I'm going to play my part and that other person agrees to play their part as well. Yeah, I think that you can remodel your relationship, right? So, and I think that people have done that. It's not like it's never happened before. There's people where, they've even gotten divorced and they got back together and the second time it worked.
Right.
Because it's like, hey, I recognize that I really did love this person. I recognize that there were areas where I should have given or I should have compromised and I didn't, or I was selfish the first go around. And, but I recognize that I squandered a great opportunity with a great person. I want to come back and do it. They get that second chance. The person changes because they really recognize what they wanted and it works. So I think it can happen, but I wouldn't say I would say that's the exception to the rule.
You cannot build a house from the roof down.
Exactly.
That's true. That's true.
Much more.
But you can break the roof off and then restructure the roof.
I just got my house. I just got my roof replaced.
That can happen.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, you can tear the whole house down and start over again.
Yeah.
So You know, as
If
long
you
as
got a
you on the
manufactured house, you
ground.
can take that same house and move it.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, it can happen, but you know, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
that it's the norm.
It's not
Right.
the norm. Okay. And what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I feel like it's much more difficult to try to go backwards. Like once you have already moved forward and said, this is the person that I'm going to be with and have tied your lives together, once you're in that framework and things start getting revealed to you, like it's hard to then rewire your brain and go backwards and say, okay, well, we weren't aligned here. Let's try to see how we can get it back. Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, if your core values and core beliefs don't align, it doesn't matter how much you love the person or how much, everything, y'all have a good time. All of that is cool and does play into, a relationship. But at the end of the day, somebody's going to always, if you're not aligned on your core values and beliefs, somebody's always going to end up feeling like they're not getting everything that they really need out of a relationship. And then that's where resentment and bitterness can start to take root. So I don't personally think that you can rebuild once you've already started, but
Yeah. And that's when they say people have those shaky foundations.
exactly.
That's what that comes from.
Where any little storm,
Mm.
that house is shaking, it's gonna fall down. You gotta
Yeah.
I think you need to be friends first. Make sure you even like the person. We can say I love you all day, but do you like me?
Oh, that part.
Do you like me? Because on the days when you don't feel in love, then how are you gonna move?
Mhm.
So I think you need to have that strong foundation first instead of trying to build backwards.
Yeah, that would definitely be advisable. But I think she said a key word, which is hard. You know, when you've gone through it, it's hard to go back and rebuild. Yeah, it can be hard, but you have to learn how to address the hard things in a relationship. You have to have the tough conversations for it to stand any chance of lasting. You can have a foundation, and then as things start to surface in your relationship, if you're unable to have those difficult conversations or address things that may arise that didn't arise previously that you might not have accounted for, then it's still going to fail unless you're able to have those tough conversations. So I think regardless of the situation, let's say you had a shaky foundation and the relationship didn't work, and you're confronted with difficult conversations that you have to have. If you choose to have those difficult conversations and sort through them and you're both accountable, it's possible that it can work.
Right.
But people play games. They have egos. You know, they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to apologize. And these are the things that happen in a relationship. You have to have two people who are willing to do the work.
Right.
No matter what you want to do, the other person has to be willing to do it. If they're
Right.
willing to do it, it can work.
Because you can't
If they're
build
not,
alone.
you can't.
Yep. And
Really.
Sunshine and I always say we'll never get in the ring by ourselves. Like if I
Right.
put these gloves on
Mhm.
and I done Vaseline my whole body up and I done got all this equipment on and a mouthpiece and I get in there and you're not there, I can't fight myself. At some point,
That's
I'm
true.
going to get out of the ring.
Yeah.
So I think it's like really hard, like you said, if you aren't willing to both have the conversation and like you said, the understanding and communication, what do you have? And yeah, I mean,
some people need to fight themselves though. To
some
keep it
don't
real.
even have it.
Oh, you right. Some ain't even having that. That's true.
And then, okay, can I touch on that real quick? You're in a relationship. You're in a marriage, not a relationship. We're gonna scratch all that. Y'all are 10 years in. If one of you decides for whatever reason, I've checked out, I don't feel like getting in the ring, because sometimes one person's going to have to fight more than the other. We do know that.
Yeah.
We know that divorce happens when both have given up. When that happens, sometimes one is willing to fight and they have to stay the course while the other one isn't. Let's say you are in a space 10 years plus and one of them has checked out to the point where sex is non and void. It's no longer, not even once a week or on a birthday. Like sex is gone.
What's the question?
How do you how do you keep this relationship flourishing?
How do you keep the
When
relationship?
and I'll say it's not within the marriage, and it's not a sense of a health reason. It's more of a I'm mad at you reason of why I'm not giving you sex.
I don't think you can.
How would I keep it together?
And would you stay?
Well, I mean, I'm a solution-oriented person. What she say?
I said you leaving.
No, I mean, I'm a solution-oriented person. So I always try to find a solution to any problem before I dip out. I always do. So if I've exhausted, my measures and I see like, yo, I'm giving and you're not, I mean, it is what it is. And frankly, I don't really believe in divorce.
Okay.
And I mean, I have parents who were married for 20 years and they got divorced.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I've seen divorces and dysfunctional relationships and stuff like that. But my belief, not that I don't believe in divorce, but I don't believe in getting married to get divorced. And clearly,
Right.
there's reasons people get divorced. So that's not any
Yeah.
knock on
Yeah.
somebody who has. But when I enter a marriage, I've already made up my mind that unless there's just some crazy, ridiculous circumstance, like I'm marrying this person because I believe that I can work through it and I'm willing to work through it. Those are the vows that I made to God, myself, to the people who attended my wedding. And I want to be a man of my word. Right. So I'm going to play my part. So if a marriage don't work out, it ain't because I didn't play my part.
Gotcha.
Right.
I can sleep good at night knowing that
Right.
I did everything that I was supposed to do. Maybe I just wasn't enough for what you wanted, but I tried. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think that you can continue a marriage if you take sexual intimacy off the table, especially for that reason. Like I'm just withholding from you because I'm upset. You know, I think that's very selfish. Also, to that point, like before it became okay to, have sex outside of marriage, I'm not gonna get all biblical on y'all, but that was specifically supposed to be reserved for a husband and wife. So that's a very important part of the relationship. So to take that off the table and just say, I'm not going to fulfill your needs in that way because I'm upset with you, I think it's a deeper issue than just the act in itself. And I don't think you can continue the
Yeah, that's a
relationship until it's
character
resolved.
issue. That's purely ego driven. To I'm mad at you, so I'm going to withhold something that you really think is going to is going to further damage your relationship. It's going to make him feel a certain kind of way. And then if he comes back and he's trying to make it right, and you're just holding that over his head,
Yeah.
then I mean, I got to question your character and your values as a wife. You're not the person that I thought I knew.
Right.
Yeah.
When this question always comes up, why do people always assume that it's the woman that is withholding sex? Whenever this conversation comes up whenever this conversation comes up on the internet, whenever people talk about it, they always pre-assume that it is
It's
a
the
woman that is withholding sex from her husband. Why can it never be the opposite direction? Do you assume that men just don't withhold sex, or men aren't using sex as a weapon? Because that's what men say, that women are using sex as a weapon, right? Do you feel as though men do not weaponize sex
No,
in
I'm sure
relationships?
again, but the exception doesn't make the rule. Like in most cases, men are viewed, based, on what men tell you, that sex is a huge priority. Right. So men typically have a tendency to prioritize sex a little more than most women in general, not all the time, but in general. So and I think that that's reflected in culture. That's reflected in men wanting to, not that women don't deal with multiple dudes, but whether men want situationships or multiple wives or whatever they're into, whether you on some Diddy stuff like sex is big for a lot of men. Not that it's not big for women, but I think that it's an assumption that most men care about the sex a little more than women, and it hurts men more when they're not having sex, because that's how we express ourselves more. That's how we express affection lots of times, is through sex. When you love somebody, sex is a huge component of that. Women might be, more cuddling, might want to, just spend that quality time, and it's not all about the sex. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Netflix and chill, turn to Netflix and, whatever,
With you
90% of the time with me, what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think
I thought you
and I think not to really generalize, but most women attach emotions to sex, whereas for men it's much easier for them to separate the act from the emotion. Like a man could be pissed off, but if you come like, hey babe, blah blah blah, even if he's upset with you, he will still engage. Whereas a woman, if she's mad and you coming at her just trying to get her to commit to the act, you might as well turn right around, because you have to cater to the emotion. So I think that's probably why a lot of people initially will assume that it's the woman withholding, because that's an act of either my feelings are hurt, I'm not feeling you right now. Whereas for a man, 9 times out of 10, even if they're upset, they're not going to withhold. They're going to still be
ready to.
unless we're trying to prove a point where you ain't gonna manipulate me.
I was about to ask
You know what I'm
that'd be the
saying?
only
if a
time.
man, if a man does that, that was literally about to be my question. If a
Mhm.
man withholds sex from his wife, what do you think the issue is?
It's just that he don't really like her like that. He's kind of at that
Getting it
moment,
somewhere else.
he's just kind of like checked out, and it's like he knows that he doesn't want to put himself in a position where he's showing any affection.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, and I think that's the only reason that we would really check out sexually is for that. It's not really like an emotional thing.
Mhm.
I don't really, I mean, of course, there's an emotional connection when you
Yeah.
love and you care about someone, there's an emotional element to it. But in
Right.
general, with men, sex doesn't have to be tied to emotion. And I know that's the case for some women, but
Yeah.
I think that, and this is based on what women say, that they have to be, in most cases, there is some type of emotional connection.
Mhm.
Like you like the person or you
Mhm.
want to possibly, unless you on a prostitution stuff like I was talking about before, in most cases, that's what I hear.
Or loss of attraction.
Yeah.
I feel like a man might withhold
That too.
sex.
Yep.
Like if you married me and I'm looking like this, not that like men are gonna be that superficial where, oh, my wife didn't, wear any makeup today, her hair not done, so I'm not gonna have sex with her. But more a deeper root, like you're not taking care of your health, you're not taking care of your hygiene, maybe, and not to speak, some people do have health issues that may cause them to gain a lot of weight, but maybe you're not in a gym, speaking to those people that can actually get up and work on themselves, not the people that have health concerns, but you just let yourself go.
Or there's something emotionally going on with you. Like most men, especially in a relationship, we don't want it. We don't like it when it seems like it's a chore for you to do.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, now I don't want it.
If I
You
feel
know what
like I'm
saying?
forcing it, then it takes
Because it's
away
not.
from
It takes away the enjoyment,
Right.
right? But most men aren't gonna withhold sex unless, like she said, like they're just not attracted to you anymore. Like they just kind of checked out. They want something different, and they're just like, I'm not gonna put myself in that position because I don't want her to get any, kind
Nothing.
of, idea that I want this from her.
Right.
So okay, so if a person has checked out, a
Mhm.
person is no longer attracted to that person, and this goes back to foundation and effective communication. What does that person that's not getting sex do?
Mhm.
I
I'll let
think
you
that
answer that,
person who's
Audrey.
not getting sex has to communicate, and that's the thing. Like a lot of couples don't effectively communicate. You get upset and you're withholding sex from somebody who might want it,
Mhm.
and they know you're upset. They try to communicate with you. It's impossible to reach a resolution with you, right? So I don't know what you do in that situation, but I think the first step is to try to communicate, get an understanding. Is it something that I did? Like, what could I do better? Give them the opportunity, and you can decide for yourself if it's something that you can change, if it's something that you're willing to change. And relationships is all about decisions. I think that most things can be repaired if two people are willing to work it out.
Mhm.
Only if one person's not, there's nothing. You can only control yourself. You can't control the other party.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
I had to learn that dealing with somebody specific. He said one thing to me. He was just like, "You can't tell me what to do. Like I want to do stuff on my own time." And I was like, a light bulb went off. Like, dang, you have this conversation with any guy you deal with. No one has
Mhm.
ever checked you on it. I
Mhm.
had no idea I had controlling tendencies.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, learning not to feel like I can control another human being
Right.
has been difficult.
No, seriously.
Because I'm like, I got my boundaries and you gonna do it. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna do me.
And
You
can
gonna do you, and we'll come in the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, effective communication.
Yeah.
What's your definition as a husband of effective communication?
Effective communication is communicating to understand, because only when you understand can you clarify a situation and move forward. So a lot of people call themselves communicating and they're just talking. And then you leave a 1 hour conversation, a 2 hour conversation or argument, and you haven't reached any resolution. You're still in the exact same place because two people are just talking at each other. So if you don't understand to gain clarity, then you're not effectively communicating.
Mhm.
How do you effectively listen? And then I'm gonna ask you the same.
Effectively listen by listening and trying to be objective, right? So I try to put myself, whenever I'm communicating with somebody, especially my wife, I try to put myself in her position first to see where she could be, where her thought process can be coming from, and I try to understand that. And then I try to clarify it. So am I understanding you correctly? And then it's your responsibility to make sure that you're hammering the point home so that I understand. I don't have to agree with it, but I got to understand.
Right.
I can't do anything if I don't even understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That is something I think most people don't do when they're listening, is trying to get clarification of
Right.
what they just heard.
Right.
They're listening and they feel like they understand what you're saying, but they don't actually ask you, do you mean, or do you mean? They're just like, okay, I heard you. You said you like milk. And I'm just assuming you like milk, so I'm gonna buy a bunch of milk.
Yeah.
But do you like 2%? Are you lactose? What kind of milk do you like? We hear you, but we don't hear you. So that was a great point that I need to take into myself, is the clarification in the listening point, not necessarily the communicating point.
Right.
So same question to you. As a wife, what is your definition of effective communication?
So aside from what he said about communicating and making sure you're communicating to have an understanding, I think especially for women, we have to be mindful of our tone and our body language, because I feel like a lot of communication is not just in the things that we say, it's in the things that we don't say. Like we literally had this conversation in the car. Like if your husband comes to you and he can visibly see something's wrong, babe, what's wrong? What's going on? Nothing. I'm fine. And you're visibly, you're saying that you're fine. So you're communicating that you're fine, but your body language and your tone is saying something completely different. So I think that's important, being mindful of that for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't, what was my second question to that?
Let's say something about listening.
Yes.
What was it?
The effective listening. How do you have effective listening as a wife?
So I think it's the same thing that a man would do, making sure that you're listening, not just to respond. We touched on that a little bit last time about how sometimes we can get into defense. So we're listening so that we can just shoot down every point that you said to have a rebuttal, but being an active listener and clarifying, like Ivan said, okay, well, when you said this is what I heard. Is this what you meant by this? So it's just it's having enough respect for that person to really care about what they're saying, one. And then if it's something that they're communicating with you, not being defensive, and meeting your partner in the middle saying, okay, well, this is what you communicated. This is what I'm going to do to work on that.
So one thing I just learned from both of y'all, and I'm loving that I'm doing Marriage Mondays, is while you're married, the listening part is actually more important than the communicating part.
It is.
Yeah, definitely.
It is.
Because it shows a form of care, being empathetic, and getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get anywhere just, like you said, talking at each other. So married people out here, effective communication is cool, but effective listening is even cooler.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back. L.I.C.K Show hits 92.3.
All right.
All right, so Slim, you still got the way. All right, Sonya playing what up though? Kenny Misfit, what up though? Yeah. Two eye, man. Two eye, man. What? Two eye, man. What?
I'm in the clouds when I'm with you. Girl, what's your name? I hope this don't offend you. Tastes like cocaine. I didn't think I'd get so. I get so high. Now I'm feeling for you, baby. Where's the lie? Roses of wine, Hallelujah. This feels like love. Ribbons in the sky, they fall on you. This feels like love. What you lacing in my weed? Put my life on
function. Is that tribal or something? Where this shit was about dead, girl. Till I end up coming out rap like I signed a dungeon. Yeah, like big boy Dre now. Try to kinda look like Bay now. I'ma shoot my shot like Jay now. Shit, I shoot like right now. Home team girl like straight now. On God, little Lord to make a way now. If you scared, go to church like gay now. But ain't scared, I'm with a DJ now. She said I passed on the hot movie blade now. But I like them blocks, okay now. Shit, I shade them. I said, girl, your love is so guitar. Now let me play on that. I play your favorite song, God Clash. Let me stay on that. I knew it was a smash when I featured Song Your Blade on that. 4 years later, caught her up and hit replay on that. Girl, I had you spending all your funds. Hit you with this rock and you think that I'm cheating Peter Gunn. Say some shit like, nigga, did you smoke crack before you came over? You remind me of my G, but I just Range Rovers. Dog that pussy. I don't really care, I just want you to come around my way. I know I got a lot of mouth that'll make you scream, God. Find your pay, ain't he good? Yeah, think I like it better around my face. Get your top 8, I think I like it better around my space. Tano, anyway, white lines, black glove, opposites subtracting here. I just brought the pack in here, and I brought this hard drive computer, don't get hacked in here. 2i tribe on God, blade, we snapped in here. Willie and baby.
Roses of wine, out of blue. This feels like love, like love.
Ribbons in the sky, they fall on you. This feels like love, like love.
Right on it, boy, I send you out of reach when I ride on it. What you lacing in my weed? Put my life on it. Well, you know just what to do. Baby, I can't wait to get to you.
It's a
We are back. Shout out to Willie Hen. He be having some of the best music. He's like a mixture of so many different artists in one. I can't wait till he blows up. I saw you see him perform, and I'm like, why didn't I know about this performance? Hey, Willie Hen. Willie Hen is amazing. You definitely check him out.
Okay, yeah. I will.
Willie
Yeah,
Hen
I will.
is absolutely amazing. That was his video. What was the name of that song? White and Powder
White and
Blue.
Powder
Shout out to
Blue.
Willie
Okay.
Hen. So if you're just tuned in and you're on this live and you want to see us all, we try to get us all in this camera. You can see all of us if you go to the YouTube channel, Hits 92.3, click on the live, and you will see all of our beautiful and handsome faces.
Yes.
So we are in here talking about effective communication and building a true foundation, because we've said you can kind of remodel a relationship, but it's hard to build an actual, because once you lay the cement, you can break it up, but how expensive is it to break up a bunch of cement
Mhm.
versus just going to buy another
Doing
house?
it right the first time.
Do it right the first time.
Measure
and-
twice, cut once.
There we go.
Seriously.
Yeah, and so one thing I learned right before the break is, in my next marriage, I want to make sure that listening is the top tier priority when we're having discussions, disagreements, or just simple conversations.
Mhm.
I always say communicating is cool, but understanding is where it's at. But now I want to take it further in clarity. I
Mhm.
never thought the clarity part never crossed my mind ever.
Mhm.
Is understanding beyond that. Like,
Right.
understanding is cool. I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
but let me make sure. Let me say it back to you
Mhm.
so that we're on the same page. I don't
Right.
think most people do that.
Right. No, that's
Nah,
true.
definitely don't.
Yeah. So in the sense of foundation building before marriage. Now, we talked about effective communication, of that working, making sure you like a person.
Mhm.
How do you get a true solid foundation outside of just communicating? Like, people can have great communication skills,
Yeah.
great understanding skills, and
Mhm.
for some reason it just still
And they have
Just-
bad
just still
action
don't work.
skills.
Oh,
That's
action.
that's the problem. So I think your words have to be backed by action.
Mhm.
And I think that when it comes to not only communicating and listening and understanding and having clarification, when those words are backed by action, it makes it easier to pull it together,
Mhm.
right? So my goal in a relationship when I'm communicating is that my wife understands what my intentions are because I have a track record of delivering on what I said I was going to do.
Right.
So even when we have a disagreement, it's kind of like, or she might be taking something personally. It's like, what is my track record? You know that this is coming from a place of love and care and concern, and that whatever I'm doing, I have your best interest at heart. And then when she thinks about this, like, yeah, he does. So then it shifts the lens through which you see what I'm saying, or, how you hear what I'm saying.
Right.
This is good.
Yeah, yeah.
This is good
I think
information.
having that shared vision, I think it's a couple of things that really helps to build the foundation. Like I said, making sure you like the person, having fun. Like people don't really put a lot of emphasis on fun, but that's how you build those core memories and and things like that. I feel like creating a safe space where both partners feel seen and heard and comfortable with being themselves.
Mhm.
Being able to be transparent, having the hard conversations, all of those things kind of go into building a solid foundation.
Yeah, and being transparent, communicating, having fun, but then also believing what you know.
Hmm.
And I think
Standing on
that,
it.
so for example, it's like you got to believe yourself. Lots of times we spend time with somebody, we talk to them, we see what they like, what they enjoy, and
Mhm.
there's something that stands out to us that lets us know if this is something we need to take further or we need to step away. Now,
Right.
what happens a lot of times is you like certain qualities or characteristics about somebody, they look good or whatever. There's this one glaring thing, and you're like, you know what? I can change that maybe. Or maybe
Mm.
they'll change along the way. Right. So let's just say I'm going to throw out the subject of, let's say, kids, right? Let's say you're with somebody and you want to have kids. The relationship is great, but they told you from the jump, I don't want to have kids. And your mindset is, you know what? But I love this person. We have such a great time together. Everything's in accord. We have the same type of vision around everything outside of kids. And I believe that once we start, we're sleeping together, I'm cooking, we're going on trips, we've met each other's family.
I could change their mind.
Once this process goes along, he's going to change his mind. Then we can talk about kids again. So you go through all of that, and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, so what are we going to do? What do you mean? I don't want kids.
Right.
What? And then you're devastated because you
Mhm.
thought that he was going to change when he
You
told
broke
you
your
from
own
the
heart
jump.
at that point.
You know what I'm saying? I think
Right.
that's the thing, is sometimes we go through this process, and when we know something, we choose not to listen to ourselves. And for me, I've learned, hey, trust your gut, man. Trust your
Mhm.
gut. I'd rather go with my gut and be wrong about big stuff than not go with my gut and be like, God dang, I should have listened to myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I always feel it way worse when I just don't listen to myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I go against my own good. And I'm
Mhm.
like, every time you said next time you're gonna listen to your good.
And they
I
sh-
still
and they
don't.
and they showed you at some
showed
point they're
you.
gonna
I feel
reveal
like
themselves.
They
yeah.
showed you.
Maya Angelou, she said it best. She said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them.
And
Like,
then
it's
just
simple as
having
that.
and then just having the transparent conversations, because like you got people who are married, they don't know what their husband does. Oh, I never asked. It's
The bills getting paid, so
he
I don't
didn't want to
care.
talk about it. I didn't want to ask. It's like
Yeah.
there's certain things people don't know about their
That's
significant other, that it's
crazy.
like, how the hell you go through a whole
How?
relationship and you
And
don't
don't know
know this,
nothing.
or you
Right.
thought that miraculously it was going to change or something like that, but it might not.
Or where they work, as in the location,
Yeah.
I have no idea what they do.
but you have
when
no
they there.
idea what they do. And then
Yes.
when they're standing next to you, and somebody's like, "Well, what do you do? Have you ever told your husband?" And you're standing there looking at them like, "I've told you every night when I come home what I do, and you're telling me you don't know what I do." And it's like, you've just never
Yeah.
listened to me
You
to,
never
as he said,
listened.
digest the
Exactly.
information.
It goes back to the clarity.
Right.
Like,
Yes,
I expressed it to
man.
you, but because you didn't try to reiterate or make sure you understand, it's like, what was the whole point of the conversation? Like, I've
Yeah.
communicated with this to you for hours and you still don't know.
Right. You'd be like, "Oh, she works at Google," and you're like, "Oh, you're a computer tech at Google." No, I'm the head chef. I feed everybody. I'm the head chef at Google. And he's like, "Oh."
And you're like, huh? Interesting. Tell me more about it in bed tonight.
Right.
'Cause I had no clue. When did you start doing that?
Right. That's crazy.
That's horrible.
Exactly.
I knew you were in school, but
Mhm.
right. So really make sure, like she said, stand on it. The actions is super duper important. And I say I'm a person, when I was much younger, in my teens and early 20s, words of affirmation was huge for me.
Mhm.
And that's because I didn't hear it enough at home.
Mhm.
My mom worked a lot. My dad was a truck driver. He worked over the road. And so me and my sisters kind of just raised ourselves. And so hearing you're beautiful or hearing I want to be with you or this, that, and the third, when I got married, I longed for that.
Mhm.
And that was essentially what split us apart, where we could have had more effective communication and listening. But as I got older, it's acts of service. Like you do something for me, it's the same as calling me beautiful and that you
Right.
care.
Right.
If
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
being
do
acts of
something for
service.
me, then it doesn't register with me as love or care.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people just some men don't want to they don't want to go run an errand for you. They don't want to help you with your business, and then to them they're like, but I tell you how I feel and I take you out and I do this. But to me, that's my love language.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
if you do something for me, I don't know if that would be, I don't think anybody considers that to be like a gold digger or anything like that. But that can be frowned upon against some men,
Mhm.
that acts of service comes before quality time and words of affirmation for me. We can spend time. You can call me whatever you want to call me, but I register love with helping me with something when my
Yeah.
hands are full.
Yeah, that
And I
just makes
mean-
your life a little easier.
Yes,
you
make
know?
my
Yeah.
life easier.
Yeah.
I'm an acts of service person too, so
And then
I get it.
recognizing that everything doesn't have to be tied to something monetary.
Yes.
Like the time that I don't know if I shared this before, but the time that I knew Ivan was the one, he might have spent a little money, but it was more so in what he did. I was in school.
Mhm.
He, was at my house and he had cleaned my entire apartment by the time I got there. Had
Man.
flowers on the table, cooking a meal. And I mean, how much would you say that really cost you, honey? Like
it costs me
in
some
dollars.
time. Some money,
Exactly.
but I'm just saying. No,
But I'm
but
saying,
no,
it doesn't have to be
yeah, I
expensive
didn't
to
And it
be
took
to
hours off of your day.
yeah. So acts of
Yes.
service does not have to be expensive. Sometimes it's just the little things
Mhm.
that you can do.
It's the little
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do the little things for me and you got my attention. You might not
Yeah.
have me, but you at least got me
I'm
like
paying
now, okay,
attention.
now you're
Yeah.
on the radar. You're on my radar now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Calling me
Yes.
like I'm telling you, like, and I'm not even being funny. If I could write down how many compliments I get in a day, it's not as effective as something else. So
Right.
like if you like, and I'll go a step further. Hearing a million people call you beautiful, and then that one person call
The
you beautiful.
one you want
oh my
to
gosh,
say it,
it's
like, come on, just give it to me.
I didn't believe all million of them,
Yes,
but because
yes.
you said it,
It
and
gotta be
then
true.
it's gotta be true because
Yes,
you said it.
exactly.
The flip side could be from that same person. I know I'm switching gears a little bit, but that same person could tell you something negative about yourself, and the whole world can tell you you're great.
But you believe it.
You're gonna start feeling like you're crap because
Mhm.
that person
That one
said,
person.
eh.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, what do I need to
Mhm.
change?
Yeah. Because you put them on a pedestal in your mind and in your heart. It's like, I value more what you say or how you act over everybody else. Like somebody can do something to me and, piss me off or whatever. It's no sweat. I don't even have to engage. But this one person, now it's like your whole world.
Yeah, your whole world
just kind of crumbles. So
do you think that happens more so with people who love language is words of affirmation?
I do because that initially is big on my list as
Okay.
well, words of affirmation and just needing to hear it.
Mhm.
But I feel like sometimes with people whose love language is words of affirmation, we have to be careful because, like you say, anybody can say anything, but what's the actions behind it, whether good or bad? We have to be careful in guarding ourselves that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you are a person like us that's words of affirmation, you have to learn to be like KELZ and to expect people to do things as well,
Mhm.
because that's the act of the words of
that you
affirmation.
spoke, the act
Right.
of the
A
words
lot of
that you
times
spoke.
we just hear it and that's
Mhm.
enough, and we're
Mhm.
living off of
Exactly.
the words, and then later on we get mad because it's like, but you don't do nothing, and
Yeah.
it's because you stopped with words of affirmation and you
Yeah.
didn't move on to
Let me see.
acts of
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Words of
Actions speak
affirmation can
louder
get
than
you in
words.
trouble.
Yes, it can.
Actions
It
speak
really
louder
can.
than
Learned that in
words.
elementary school.
To touch on something y'all said and not to go deep into that part of a conversation when you were like most men, because I get called a man in this aspect, that I don't necessarily attach sex to emotion.
Okay.
I'm not just gonna run out here and just have sex with anybody, but
Mhm.
that's why I can dwell in a situationship
Mhm.
and be cool with us standing still in this point.
Right.
But if I do start to catch feelings with somebody, then I will want more.
Right.
But I can go through. I was with somebody for 2 years, and he put the ultimatum on me,
Okay.
and I was like, I'm not ready, and we went our separate ways.
Yeah.
When you attach sex to emotion and you don't get the things that you need within the relationship outside of just sex, how effective can a situationship work without all the extras, leaving it as just that?
Ask that question one more time. I'm sorry.
So I'll break it down more. When you're just having sex,
Mm-hmm.
can you dwell in that, because you said men don't typically connect the two,
Mm-hmm.
whereas sometimes people can have affairs and it was just that one time and
Right.
Yeah.
still go home to their wife and nothing changes.
Right.
When you think of a woman being like that in that type of way, is it to say that she doesn't have emotion? Like, can she get past like just the sex part and dwell into more? If speaking from a man, because sometimes y'all don't connect the two. If you're just dealing with somebody in a situationship,
I think it depends on the person. You know, it's always you don't care and there's no emotion tied to it until there is.
Right.
So depending on who you're dealing with, you might have gone into a situation and it's like, we just gonna be cool, we gonna kick it, and then it's possible that it can work until it doesn't. Either, I mean, how do situationships end? I would think situationships end when people aren't getting the value that they want.
and the other
Somebody
person
Somebody
doesn't want to give
catches
it.
feelings within
Yeah.
that setup, or somebody catches feelings or wants something from somebody else outside of your situationship.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how I would think situationships end, because somebody is emotionally
Yeah.
drawn
Yeah.
to something else
Yeah.
outside of what you got going on.
And for me, I would say I can't really relate to that. I know there are some women that can do that, but I'm not one who personally can. So the only thing that I could guess, or at least if it would be for me, if I was the type of person that would be able to do that, is that the only reason why it would work is that I don't see much more value in this man outside of just the physical. Like, I don't care your money, your nothing else. Like, I don't see any other value outside of just that. That's why it's so okay for me to not be able to tie any emotions to what
Good
we're
answer.
doing.
Yeah.
I don't need nothing else from you.
I told Sunshine that. I said that the man that I'm typically in a situationship with is somebody I wouldn't take serious. But
Yeah.
you might have, I have been surprised. And I'm like, wait a minute, I wasn't expecting you to be that kind of way.
Yeah.
So I have been a person that switched from wanting just a situationship to wanting to be in a relationship. And like y'all are saying, we had these rules at the beginning and now you changing
Trying
them
to change
up.
them
Now they're
up.
starting to
Yeah.
get muddled a little
But
bit.
Yeah.
it's like sometimes they can surprise you, and it makes me wonder if that person was really for the situationship, or were they just comfortable being there because that's what you offered.
I think sometimes, I mean, there's growth and evolution too. Sometimes you just feel stagnant, like we doing the same thing. It doesn't really mean anything to either of us. We're
Right.
taking up space in each other's lives. Like, you want more significance. It might not even just be that it's an emotional aspect to it, but it's just like, okay, we've been in this situationship. You don't love me like that. I don't love you like that. I don't expect anything more of you except sex, and you don't expect that out of me. And we just going through this process every single day. It's like showing up to work every day, just knowing you
Bored,
showing
like,
up.
God,
I hate my job. I don't
Same
like
job,
it.
15
I don't
years.
have a sense of purpose at all.
Yes.
And I'm just doing this for 10 years. And then you look back and you're like, what have I been doing? Like, I don't like this anymore. I want something different. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I think that's what can happen.
And the question I'm always asked is, how can you be in a situationship for so long? And I say, me specifically, I want my one person to do. It sounds crazy to say, like, why don't you just get married? I am comfortable having sex with this one person, but I want to do everything with this one person. But sometimes I don't want to be around that one person. Sometimes I just want to go do my own thing, hang out with my
But
friends.
that's life. You don't always want to be around your mama. You don't always want to be around your sister. Sometimes your best friend call you, girl, I don't feel like going out today. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you just need your quality time, and that's okay. You're never always gonna want to be around somebody all the time, not even because you don't you feel a way towards them. It's not
Yeah.
always it. Sometimes you just need to decompress. You need to have a moment to collect your thoughts. Like sometimes you can't even hear yourself think because it's just always somebody around talking to
Yeah.
you or whatever. So
Yeah.
But sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like that for days. And if I'm married, you can't do that.
Right.
Sometimes I just need to disconnect from humans. And I might not answer my phone for days. And that other person on the opposite end is like, what she
Well,
got
not
going on?
answering my wife, not answering her phone for days.
That's gonna
That
be
ain't
a
really gonna
Thank
work.
problem.
you. That's
But
my
a deal
point.
at the end of the day,
That's part of my point.
yeah, but I think again, it comes to understanding and having clarity because sometimes, like, if you understand the person that you're with, you know, like, okay, it's not. I didn't do anything wrong. We've gone through this. She's explained it to
Yeah.
me. I know she just needs her time to
Yeah.
focus on her business. When she's in that mode, you know, she's in her office, I just leave her alone, do what I got to do.
Yeah.
And then when she gets through whatever she's working,
Yeah.
we're going to be good. So that works when there's effective communication
Right.
and people don't take things personally
Exactly.
because they understand.
And not being in a rush to make permanent decisions off of temporary feelings. Like you just kind of, like
Yeah.
like Ivan said, just I know you. We have come to understand it based off our communication. I know this is temporary. I'm not gonna take offense. I'm gonna just give you your space, and then when you're ready to talk, we talk about it and move from
Yeah, and
there.
I think that's maturity. It's like if you know that, let's say your man gets up in the morning and if he ain't had his coffee and has something to eat, he's
He gonna
hangry.
have an
He
attitude.
don't like to talk in the morning. Like me, I'm not a talkative person. Leave me alone the first like 30 minutes that I wake up. You
And
know
I'll be
what
a
I'm
ray
saying?
of sunshine. Good morning.
I'll be like, yeah, what's up? Like,
Hey,
leave me alone. Let me eat. Let me get my protein. Let me get
That's me.
the juices flowing, for lack of a better word. But and
Yeah.
then I'll brighten up a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just got to know your person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be comfortable and transparent and just like me and Sunshine talk about this all the time. I want to 1000% be authentically myself with the person that I'm with.
Exactly.
And you love it anyway. Even if it gets on your nerves, you're like, that's my babe. She get on my nerves.
That's the
but
only way it works is being authentic.
Yeah.
You can't put on a mask because it's gonna reveal itself at some point. So it's like you need to be with the person who understands you and wants you for who you are.
Exactly.
And I don't believe in just accepting somebody for who they are if that's not what I want to be with. But if I do want to be with you, I am gonna accept it.
Right.
Once you've laid it all on the table, that person has the opportunity to decide if
Whether
that
or
works
not
for
they-
them
yeah.
or if it doesn't. And if it does, there you go.
Yeah. Because some people feel like they have to be the same in order to be compatible. We don't have to be the same. We don't have to agree on every single point. I don't have to like the same basketball team that you would. I'm gonna say I disagree. You do gotta like my team, but just to give an example, like if you're willing to communicate and understand, and if that's not a deal breaker for you, then cool. You don't have to be the exact same to be compatible with somebody.
Oh, that's a good. Let me write that down for when y'all come back. Because y'all are here once a month. So when y'all come back, I do want to talk about the differences and to be compatible. Because I literally think that y'all have to have way more in common than not. Coffee Brown, just real quick. Coffee Brown on not Instagram, on YouTube said, I have 3 long-term situationships and a marriage.
How do
can
you
keep
do
them
it?
as long as you both allow.
You
He got-
busy. You
Well, he
busy,
got
busy.
game.
Oh, that's a guy saying
Coffee
that?
Brown. I don't know. Well, yeah.
Or is that a woman?
It gotta
Okay.
be a guy, because ain't no guy
Coffee?
gonna put up with his wife having 3 different.
Yeah, I thought it was a
situationships.
woman for a second. I'm like, dang. How's she doing
Yeah, I
that?
think that man gonna go.
For real.
All right. I know y'all have to get going. Or y'all good?
No, we good.
You good?
School
Okay.
ain't started for the kids.
Okay,
yet.
so I was
Yeah,
like,
we
I'm
can
just
go.
trying to get y'all in the wheel of, last time I kept y'all here a whole additional hour and a half. So I was like, let me make sure they get them out on time when they need to get out on time. All right, so let's continue that part of the conversation then instead of waiting, because I don't know that part. This is brand new for me. Being not necessarily incompatible in a compatible relationship. Y'all don't have as much in common, but you can still be compatible. Break that down a little bit for me.
So I feel like you have to be aligned on like your core values and your core beliefs. Like, is what's the word I'm looking for? Is religion really important to you? Do you want kids? Like loyalty, those type of things are non-negotiables, but I feel like everything else outside of those core values and core beliefs is kind of hit or miss. Yeah, people are going to have the things that they prefer or might want to see, but it may or may not be a deal breaker.
Okay.
So, things like I would say education. Maybe somebody decided that they may not want to do the traditional route and go to school, get a job 9 to 5. Me and Ivan came from different backgrounds. He is a college graduate, but he started his own business. I was comfortable with working a 9 to 5. So there was differences that we saw, when it came to that. But things on like how you want to raise your kids and stuff like that, I feel like it is a non-negotiable. But I feel like people can still be compatible without having every single box be the exact same.
Yeah, I think there's a saying, when the vision is clear, the results will appear.
That's your
So,
saying.
yep. So I
Made that
think
up.
that if you're I don't know, did I make that up? I don't know if I made it up. But what that means is that you can have differences of opinion, you can have different likes, but when you're in a relationship,
Oh,
I knew it. If it was Kofi,
pin in that.
if it was Kofi, I'm like, it's a guy. But Coffee, I would think is
sound like
a
a
woman's
man,
name.
we gonna
Dang,
say- she said,
Coffee.
I'm a girl.
What'd she say? What'd she say?
With the sad face, we sorry, baby.
Ooh.
Thank you
I
for tuning
knew
in,
it.
Coffee. Don't go nowhere. We got to get back on that one. But let's finish his thought.
Yeah, but you got to paint the vision. So if you don't necessarily like to do every single thing, but you know where you want to end up, that's where the communication and the understanding comes into play. Because we did come from a different type of mindset. I mean, I grew up, my parents had jobs and stuff. Then my dad started his own business.
Okay.
But I think I have the entrepreneurial mindset. I'm a creator, I'm a visionary. I'm a person. I don't have to see it to know that it's can happen or it's gonna happen. So when you come from a more structured environment where it's like everything gotta line up, this
Put
going
it
to
on
lead to this.
paper for me.
I'm
I
getting this
need
paycheck
I need
on
a
2 weeks from
spreadsheet.
here.
I
By the
need
end of the month, taxes get taken out
Yes.
here. By the end of the month, I'm having this
Please,
exact
I
money I'm
need to
doing.
see it.
I don't. So that's difficult. That was challenging for her to navigate that.
It
And the
was.
only way that we were able to work through it is one, like her believing in the vision and me saying, hey, this is where we're going with this. This is, and then you see me not only talking about it, but backing it up with action.
Yeah.
You say, okay, he's going out there, he's networking, he's connecting.
Hustling.
He just got a celebrity client here. He
Yeah.
just spoke at this event. It's like, okay, he moving. So now I get it. It's not just some dream that you're painting. So once you show the actions and she starts to understand it and see it for herself, then some of the things she might not have even been open to in the beginning, she's like, oh, I kind of like that. Dang, it's Christmas Eve and I gotta work. Gosh, dang, and this dude talk about, I want to go here on Christmas Eve, or I'm chilling with the kids today, or I'm gonna work in New York City, like bump this. I don't want to be home.
Yeah.
So then you start seeing things that you like, that you get introduced to. And then she starts to become more a part of this world, but she still
Right.
has a decision. Not that she has to be an entrepreneur. She can work a 9 to 5, but there's certain things that, you have to, you're going to have to compromise on some things. There's certain things that are deal breakers, but as long as it helps you to get where you're trying to go and you can agree on that, I think you can have differences.
Love it. It's so much. My mind is like all over the place right now. It's a lot. That was
Yeah.
a lot of information to take in.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to call in and talk about this topic, the telephone number is 404-254-4347. Again, 404-254-4347.
Man, bring coffee back.
Right. Coffee, where you at, girl? Coffee, we need you to call in. Again, that telephone number is 404-254-4347. There is a question on here. Is your love unconditional?
Is our love
I can answer that quick. Mine is not. I don't even think I have unconditional love. Like, if my kids tried to kill me, it'd be off with their heads.
Yeah.
So, I don't think I have unconditional love for anybody. That's my answer.
That's a really good one. I think people want to say, and I, in my heart of hearts, would want to say I have
Yes,
unconditional
yeah.
love, but nah, there's conditions.
Yeah.
You can't do anything to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love myself too. So at the end of the day, like, no, there's conditions, but I mean, I would do almost anything for my wife, and I'm always going to have her back. I'm always going to have her best interest at heart. So, I mean, those are things you got to know when you're in a relationship. You set the terms. And people do people make mistakes? Absolutely. But you have those non-negotiables. When you start crossing over into those non-negotiables and showing a lack of consideration, a lack of respect, a lack of accountability, now we got to do something different.
Yeah. I feel like my love is unconditional on the conditions that we set.
Yeah.
So as long
Yeah,
as you
that's
don't
good.
step out the realm of that, yes, I love
Yeah.
you unconditionally. But the minute like vows are broken or trust is broken, things are going on where I feel like you no longer have my best interest or the best interest of our family at heart, then no. So that's the best way I can say it.
That's a
Mhm.
great question though.
Yeah.
Is love unconditional?
Yeah.
I know some people will die on the sword for their mate, and I'm like, yeah, good for you. I'm the realist. I'm just
You're like
going.
ride or die.
I mean,
I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be on that
too.
die
I would
part.
die on the
Yeah, I don't know
sword
about the
too.
die
It just
part.
depends on why I'm dying. Like it gotta add up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gotta add up.
Yeah.
Okay, your spouse. I'm just throwing
Yeah,
questions
yeah.
out
Go
with
ahead, fire away.
unconditional. Your spouse, two different ways.
Hmm.
Your spouse does something in your honor, and they get sentenced to 12. I'm not even gonna make it drastic. 12 years,
Hmm.
but they have to do 7. Are you committed?
I'm locked in.
You locked
I'm
in
locked in.
your honor.
Cause to
Okay.
me, and I don't know,
Mhm.
maybe that's a little toxic, but that's kind of sexy to me. Like look how she
Kill
looking
that
at me.
man for me.
Not that I want my man out here being reckless, but let's say, I mean, and we know how the justice system can be towards our men, so let's just throw that out there. But let's say somebody broke into our house and was trying to get us, and you killed them, but for whatever reason they didn't see that as self-defense, and now you got to go to jail by
Now
all
you gotta go to
means.
jail.
That-
You
I'm
gotta do
there.
7.
That's the conditional part for me. What did you do to get there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would
That's why I said
constitute
in your honor.
my
That's
loyalty.
why I put that there.
Yeah,
In
okay.
your
In my honor,
That was the part that I
I'm
Because
said.
if you
locked
went to
in.
jail as a crackhead,
Yeah, no,
Saturday,
I'm out of here.
You can do
gotta
some
do
crazy
it.
things
Right.
in somebody's honor. Like, yo, I didn't ask you to do all of that. Now, come on.
Nah,
Why the hell would you do that?
That's true. That man grabbed my butt and you snapped his
We were
neck.
We were struggling.
No, that's real. That's real.
I
It's people
I
doing
did it
some
for
crazy
you.
stuff.
I robbed
Yeah,
this
you
man
did.
and shot him for you, baby. We were struggling. Wait, hold on now. Like, you need better judge. So that's the type of judgment that you have in this relationship. Like,
That's a good point.
Start pushing weight like El Chapo. Like
Right.
we needed some diapers. We ain't need them that bad. Like, yeah, no, you're right. That's real.
I thought I knew you.
Hey, we have a caller on the line. Who we speaking to?
It's Coffee Round.
Hey, Coffee Brown. Look, now we got to
Coffee.
hear about this. 3 situationships and a marriage.
Yeah.
The floor is yours, baby.
Well, I'm nervous. But yeah, my husband and I have been together for 25 years, 11th grade. And we are polyamorous. And as far as my situationships, all them boys take a bullet for me. But like I said, you can keep them as long as you want, as long as everybody agrees to the terms. Because the thing is, when you're not married to someone, you have to continually choose. And to answer the question for me, my love is conditional. I'm not God. I'm human, and I allow myself that grace to know that you have to meet some conditions to play on my softball team. It is what it is. So yeah, it's conditional. That's the best way I can say. As long as you meet the conditions, we can have a good time. You know, it's all about having a good time and being happy. But if you don't meet them conditions, like any other job, you no longer are employed here.
So,
And your husband, I'm sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
you're right.
I was like, your husband, well, obviously he knows you're on a radio show talking about it. And he's cool with this. Does he have relationships outside of you?
Oh, that is.
She said, "Oh no."
Yeah.
She said no or yes. I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
That boy got about 5, 6. Lord, don't get me started.
So y'all just have an open relationship.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We have an understanding that you as individuals, we give each other the permission to forge whatever type of relationship you want to forge with someone, be it a sexual relationship, a friendship. Usually when you get married, your spouse becomes your property. And it's like, that's my ball. You can't play with my ball. I'll let you see it, but you can't play with it. But for us, it's like, hey, go out there, be safe. but go out there and continue to make those type of connections that you would make had it not been that we got married. Because I ain't going nowhere. We've been together 25 years. Ain't nothing out there. I'm in the pool. I know what's out there.
So can I ask, when did you all decide to be polyamorous? Did that come from the start, or did that come along the lines of the marriage?
Later, yeah.
It's 5 years into the marriage.
Okay.
We were tired of each other. We were young. We were like, you know what? I'm up out of here. I'm not getting what I want. You're not getting what you want, and we're not happy.
Okay.
And my husband said, well, hey, what about us seeing other people inside the marriage? And I never was a jealous woman. I was like, okay, sure, that's fine.
Okay.
And that's pretty much how that started. But I can say through polyamory, we've been able to be, we communicate way more than beforehand. We're more open to each other's ideas, be it anything regarding polyamory, just outside the box in general. We just give each other that space to say, hey, this is something I'm thinking about. Are you open to it?
Okay.
Yeah, that's been since 2009.
Do any of the outside people attribute to your home or contribute to your home? That's the word, contribute. Do any of the outside people contribute to your home?
Absolutely. Because in my opinion, if I'm going to do this extramarital thing, then I feel like I need to form my own zombie apocalypse team. So it's what skills do you have? And that's just how I look at it. What skills do you have? Okay, you're an electrician. Cool. I got some wires down here I need you to look at. You run HVAC? Cool. I need you to look at this condenser because I don't know what's going on here. You have to be able. It's as much as it sounds crazy. In my opinion, everything is transactional. You want your little piece of happiness. I want my little piece of happiness. What can I do in order to get my little piece of happiness from you that I'm okay with? To me, that's just how I think.
Wow.
But yeah, everybody know you got to come over here and do something. You ain't just over here. What Drake say? I'm gonna leave it at that.
Goodness gracious!
Hey, you need to start calling them your concubines.
Right.
Oh,
what in the Erykah Baduism is this? She got that Erykah Badu vibe. Like you can just hear it. Like what you putting on?
Where are you from, Coffee?
Originally from Alabama.
I knew it.
How old are you, Coffee?
I'm 42.
Okay, one more question. So are you in Alabama? Are you in Atlanta? Wait. Are you teaching class? Are you in Atlanta or are you still in Alabama?
Oh no. I'm in Atlanta.
Okay. Can you do me a favor?
Sure.
When we get off this live, can you send me a message? I would love to have you to come on air if you're willing.
Oh, okay.
And any of your concubines.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you gotta bring that. That's crazy.
Lord have mercy.
Would your husband be willing to come on with you?
Oh no, he ain't gonna come on with that.
He's not gonna come on.
Okay, no wait. So that's
Send me a
my
message.
question. What do you think y'all situation would be different if it was more like more people knew about it? Like are you guys kind of are you guys kind of secretive about what's going on? Do people know that you're married and that you're doing this? Or is it like, does your family know? Or is it more so of this my business, don't worry about what I'm doing, just as long as my husband knows what's going on, we're good?
Well, it's all of the above. Because we're different things to different people. So, for instance, my mom knows, but I don't throw it in her face. She was born in the 50s, and that's not my place to invite her into my space like that, So she knows, but like I said, that's not for me. Just I'm poly.
Right.
I don't. As far as work, I'm very. I work in a corporate environment, so I keep that out of those spaces. Okay. But we do have Facebook communities and all type of communities and open spaces. Now, if I'm out in public, then it is what it is. You see who you see. But it just depends on what space I'm in.
Mm-hmm. I got a question. So you talked about conditions earlier. What are the conditions that your situationships have? So clearly you've agreed on some things with your husband and that works out for you all. But what are the conditions that you place on these other 5 dudes who are in a situationship?
Well,
I love her accent.
one thing I can tell is not. It's never financial. I ain't never dated anybody that made any more than I did. So I had to leave that along a long time ago. Kevin Samuels had to teach me that, but that's a story for another day. But you have to be a person that over time I could love. Ain't got to be right now. We chilling right now. But if I can't go pick your kid up from a soccer game, or if somebody's coming over to your house and you need to be somewhere else, and if you can't trust me inside your home when you're not there, then that's not someone that I don't need you to be with me. You have to be someone that I could trust if I needed to lean on that trust. And I'm going to give that back to you a little bit extra, because you don't have to take care of the daily crazy that my husband has to take care of.
Yeah. So you're married and you got into a situationship because y'all couldn't really get along like that. So as you're going through these situationships and you are developing these men into somebody you can potentially love, do they have the potential to replace your current husband?
Oh, that's great. Absolutely not. The first thing I tell somebody, I will never leave Mr. Brown.
Go ahead,
the world
never leave
burning
Mr. Brown.
down, and you could offer me all the money in the world. I would never. Ain't no way. But they say it's till death. Somebody got to die.
Play your role,
Wow.
Play your position, but just
Okay,
realize
so
it's a
your
cap.
vows are your vows. You don't play about your vows.
I know.
So with your husband, do you know his concubines? Are you friends with any of them?
Absolutely. Hell, I had to get one a job because she wouldn't look. Them gifts they were gifting. I'm like, babe, you're gonna have to come over here and work with me, because I'm gonna need for you to chip in when the birthday comes. You know how them Geminis get. We're gonna have to upgrade. We ain't playing it around here. Share. We're sharing these expenses.
KELZ passed out.
Okay, I got one more question and then I'm done, because Kale's head on the table, so she can't ask no more. I just got one more question.
I got one more.
When it comes to the safety, when it comes to the safety of everybody, like everybody's physical safety and communicable diseases, how do you guys navigate? There's so many interchanging of people and fluids and different things like that. I'm assuming that because of the way you're describing it, it isn't we're all like doing things together. I have my person that I do it with when I want to, and this, that, and the third. How are you making sure that you guys aren't passing other things to other people, and pH levels is good and stuff?
So the best thing that you can do is the best thing that anybody can do, dating single and dating as many people as they can. You can trust the people that you're with to do their part. That's all we can do. I do my part. I trust that my partners are doing their part. You can't say 100. Oh, I'm dragging them down to the hospital, and we're in the real world. That's just not it. It's a whole lot of trust.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a two-part question, and then I'm done. Has there ever been a physical altercation between any of your men?
Oh no.
No?
Because we're adults. And I left the hood a long time ago.
Okay. And the second part of the question is, with you being a woman in corporate America, I would assume you're busy. Like, how do you divvy up this time, like between these guys, your husband and these other people? Like, how do you determine, yeah, the kids? I need to know some time management skills out here.
ADHD. I mean, it's like having 60 hours in a day because you don't really sleep that much. So the ones that have the late shifts, you talk to them for a hot little second, and then you pop up in the morning, you get your good morning text automated, and then you just everybody doesn't require you every second of the day. Polyamory is about managing people the way that you would manage anyone else. If you have a group of 10 friends, well, you're not going to talk to your 10 friends every day, all day. Sometimes you might talk to them every a month or so. The only difference between my 10 friends and your 10 friends and my 10 friends is getting it in. That's not it.
Wow. Coffee, I love you, first of all. I love the transparency. This is opening my eyes to different types of marriages. Definitely send your information because I definitely want you in studio if you're open to it.
Sure.
Oh,
well, thank y'all so much.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for
Thank
calling
you.
in.
Sure, y'all have a good one.
You too. So that was our girl, Coffee Brown. She is married with 3 situationships, and her husband also has his own individual situationships.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. I can't lie.
Okay.
speechless.
Yeah. So thank y'all for coming in.
On that note.
On that note, no, if y'all are just tuning in and y'all heard that, I am going to have Miss Coffee Brown to come in on the show. But prior to, we were talking about the traditional marriage and building a foundation and effective communication. And I will add listening, effective listening. So tell everybody where to find you, Miss Ma'am.
Okay, you can find me at Mrs. Defy Gravity on all platforms. And we also have a website, www.intriguemediagroup.com, where you can reach out as well.
Okay, yeah. So I'm at Mr. Defy Gravity, and yeah, intriguemediagroup.com. That's where you can reach out.
All right. And you can find the radio station Hits 92.3 on all social media platforms. You can find me, The Real Who is KELZ, on all social media platforms. Our flagship show with Sunshine, the Hood Unicorn, All Hustle No Fear, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10. We also have Nurse to Beauty. I love her. And I want to get some. I've been having a lot of conversations with people with BBLs, and I'm like, oh, I got a show that you should go on. So if you're intrigued about BBLs and the goods, the bads, the uglies of even just health and wellness, her show is every Monday at 10 a.m. So she's right before us. And then we have Nana Lane with Faith 3T, 6 o'clock on Monday evening. So yeah, we have very few slots taken. So if anybody wants a show on a Monday, we have a bunch of time available. We are looking for new shows. We're looking for, and not just, I always say new shows. It doesn't have to be a new show. You could be at another radio station and you're like, I'm tired of their crap. Let me come on over to Hits. So we're looking for shows. I need to stop saying new shows. We're looking for shows. And if you would like to have your own show, if you sit and debate with me all day and you're like, I need to come on your show, you can come and get your own show and talk about all the things that you want to talk about. And all you have to do is send your email to hits923newshow@gmail.com and tell us about your show and the availability that you have. Please don't just send a message and say, I want a show. Now you're forcing me to have to ask you a billion questions. Tell me about the show you currently have, or the show that you're interested in having, your availability. If you work 9 to 5, then I know, okay, we got these slots in the evening, or vice versa. And that's the start. I'll just start there. I'm not even gonna give you a whole list. Just those 2 things. Hits923newshow@gmail.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at Hits92.3. And we are out. Thank y'all for tuning into Marriage Mondays.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.
Decatur, Lithonia, Conyers, Covington, McDonough, and all surrounding areas. Something Special Bar and Lounge presents Music Bingo and Karaoke. That's right, you heard me. Music Bingo and Karaoke every Wednesday at Something Special Bar and Lounge. On the 1 and 2s, we got DJ P. Not to mention, we got the host with the most. KELZ, we got drink specials, plus the full kitchen, seafood dip, salmon bites, sweet heat wings, jerk chicken egg roll. From 5 to 7 is our happy hour. Mix and match, 2 items, looking for good vibes, delicious drinks, delicious food. Something Special Bar and Lounge, 1377 Old McDonough Highway, Conyers, Georgia. The best spot on the east side. Express lunch on the go. Not to mention now open for lunch from 11 to 3 Monday through Friday. Look us up on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Something Special Bar and Lounge.